Hi, everybody, and welcome to Cope with Hope. Today, I have the very brave and courageous Revati Roy, who, from nothing at all, built success. From totally broken, she made success for herself. And she has brought hope not only to herself and her family, but today she gives hope to so many young women who want to make careers in their lives. So, Revati, me and my audience would love to know. Firstly, welcome to Cope with Hope. And me and my audience would love to know what is it that, what is that inner drive that got you to where you were today? Where from nothing at all, you took your one skill that you had, which was knowing how to drive, and you made sure that you built your life and gave your children something wonderful.
Thank you, Nandini, for having me on the show. And what a lovely name, Cope with Hope. And yeah, so I think there comes a time in everybody's life, I think, when, you know, you either you sink or swim.
Yes,
And so I think I went through that many, many times. I mean, not just once, but many times. And sometimes it was really deep down. But coming back from zero is one thing, but coming back from completely negative is something which is very difficult.
yes.
And so for me, it was like you rightly said, it was only one skill which I had. And even now, I think today also I probably possess that only one skill of driving because I still keep driving, and that's what gives me the biggest pleasure of my life. It just de-stresses me. So I'm a teetotaler. I don't drink and smoke. So people drink, smoke to de-stress themselves, and I do just driving.
You know,
So I'm all
I like driving too. I find
great.
it very meditative. And anytime I have to think things out, I get into my car, put on music, and drive.
Yeah, and very right that I need to see a tank full of petrol and I need I need my music. I
Yeah,
think it's a kink in my head that the petrol tank has to be full because it's very worrying to think that you're just driving and suddenly you get stuck with no
yeah,
petrol.
yes,
It's just a kink,
absolutely.
and I love to see it full. So I have this obsession with can't make it half. So the minute it turns half, I keep telling my drivers go and fill it up, because it has to
But
be full.
that's a very good thing, because it
Yeah,
doesn't, the kachra doesn't collect
yeah,
all the rubbish doesn't collect then. Yeah, so
correct.
it's a very
And
good habit.
yeah, it's a good habit, and it's kind of you always need to be prepared. So
Yes.
because I think probably it's something that maybe one of the things, and there are so many things that I have learned after that. That um, one of the things that I really went through when we're talking of cope with hope here. So my husband had a paralytic stroke in 1994, and he was watching the World Cup and football World Cup, and I was sleeping, and he kept waking me up. So he had this habit of waking me up to see a goal. Bengali, so it's like
Yeah, yeah.
we have to see the goal. And so I that day also I thought that he was actually waking me up to see a goal, and I was not getting up. I said I don't want to see it, but he actually had a stroke,
Mm.
paralytic stroke, and he was waking me up to tell me that I've got a stroke. I need to go to the hospital. And then I got up. I got up out of disgust. I got up out of disgust, and I said, "What is it?" So he just turned around and said to me, "He said I've got a stroke, and I could see it.
Oh God.
I could see it."
Yes.
And we rushed him to. Also that day when I got him down in the building and I made him sit on a chair. The previous night we were playing carom, and one of our friends had taken my car to his
Oh
house.
my God.
So that day I didn't have a vehicle. And you won't believe it, that has stayed in my mind so much that I need to have a vehicle with me at all times, 24 hours. A vehicle with petrol, keys with me.
Yes.
So it's like it's become it's became so I had to that day, I took the milkman's cycle. There was a milkman early morning who had come to deliver milk. I took his cycle with the milk cans. We used to have those milk
Yes.
cans on the side.
Yes.
I took that and I cycled to my friend who had my car and got my car and came back.
Wow.
My God, it was like if I think of it now and I think that, oh God, I did that, how did I do that?
Yes.
So lot of things just stays up. You learn, and this learning was not something which was good to learn, but the point is I learned.
And you
And
grew from that.
we grew.
Revati had a very comfortable life. She lived in a very good area in Bombay, Breach Candy. She had three sons. She got married in 1984, and 10 years later, her husband got the stroke, and her
Yeah.
car was at her friend's. So you
Mhm.
cycled, you got the keys, and you took him to which
So
hospital?
I took him to Hinduja Hospital, and there they said that no one was willing to check his pressure also. I mean, it was like he was, uh, his right arm, his right side was completely paralyzed. And he kept saying that ask him to check my pressure. And when they checked his pressure, it was 230 by 180. And then somebody actually told me it's Bell's palsy. And I said, no, it's not Bell's palsy. Then he didn't get placed there. Then we rushed him to another hospital. And on the way, I remember near Haji Ali, he held my hand and he said, I'm not going to make it. And oh my God, friend was driving and I told my friend, I said, just break all the signals, drive on the footpath if you need to, just go, just we'll figure out what something later.
Yes.
And then he went there, then he started his treatment. But he came out of the paralytic stroke really without any residual effect.
Okay, so which hospital?
Then we put him in Bombay Hospital.
Okay, fine. And
So
after
there
that?
he really recovered. And then in 2000, he got his heart attack. Then we did his bypass. Then he was fine after the bypass. And then in 2004, he slipped into a coma. And he got a massive cardiac arrest and he slipped into a coma. And he never came out of it. He stayed in the comatose state for 2.5 years and passed away in 2007, January. So then began my journey of resurrecting myself. Because prior to that, while he was in a coma, 2005, I had a bad time. I had borrowed money from friends for medical expenses and other
Yes.
things, and I couldn't return that money.
Mm.
And so five of them together filed a criminal case against me. And I
Oh
went
my
behind bars.
God. You went behind bars.
Yeah, and I was behind bars for 3 months. So
And
it
where were
was
you, if you don't mind me, if you don't mind telling me?
there were five police custodies and there was one judicial custody. So
Oh
it
my
was
God.
different police stations. Yeah, I mean, that is what happened. And then I resurrected myself after 2007. And I'm here, 2020.
That's amazing. So she started the first women's driving service called
Yeah,
Force, right? That was called Force. And so it was her, and she put an ad in the papers, and she got two more women. So the three of them, and she says that they were thoroughly spoilt by the press, thank God. And they ran a very successful service from the airport to people's, like dropping people
yeah.
home, right?
So so I placed this ad on the 25th of January on 2004. No, 2006.
Yeah.
And 26th of January of 2000, sorry, 2007. And 26th of January of 2007, my husband became very critical. And we rushed him to the hospital and he passed away on the 29th. And then so we got a very good response for it. And then so we started getting a great response. And we said, now we're going to launch on the 8th of March, 2007, International Women's Day. And because this happened, we belong to a Bengali family and we very conservative Tripura family. And then we decided that we launch it with a lot of fanfare and stuff like that. But this the demise of my husband just put the brakes on everything because I kind of locked myself and I said, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to meet anybody. I'd also said, I don't want to meet anybody. And I had changed to white clothes and I said I had locked myself. I was listening to some horrible bhajans and It was dark, and So then this friend of mine came down from the US to meet me, and he said, "You have to uh, read this book." So he came. He gave me a book on Swami Vivekananda, and it's an autobiography of Swami Vivekananda. So I said, "Okay, I'll read it." So he said, "No, no, you have to start reading now." And I said, "Okay." So I started reading. In fact, I feel so sad to say this today that that friend of mine just passed away 2 days back in the US. Very sad, very, very sad. I don't know what happened to him, but he just passed away. And so I started reading, and I was on page 26 of that book. And on that page, there was a graphic representation of Swami Vivekananda sitting under a tree. And there's a young blind boy sitting in front of Swamiji. And that young blind boy asks Swamiji, he says, "Swamiji, is there anything worse than losing your eyesight?" And Swamiji turns around to him and says, he says, "Yes, my son, losing your vision is worse than losing your eyesight." And I just shut the book and I said, "Oh my God, my late husband Siddharth was probably my eyesight, but I have a bigger vision in life.
Yes.
That vision is something which I want to do to empower women who are less privileged."
Yes.
And so I just shut the book and I said, "I need to step out." And this was only on day 4 of my husband's death. So my mother-in-law was in the other room, so I got her and I spoke to her and I said, "I need to step out." And she was technically, never been to school and stuff like that.
Yes.
She actually held my hand and she said, "Yes, you can go, but on one condition." And the condition that she put down was, she said that you have to change back to colored clothes.
How
I
sweet,
don't
bless
ever
her.
want you. Yeah, she said, "I don't ever want to see you in white clothes." And the reason she gave me was even more profound, because she turned around and said that I don't want ever my grandchildren to get up every morning and look at you and remember that they don't have a father. So and this was an uneducated so-called
Yes.
lady who, she is no more. But I really think that a lot of my success and my empowerment is because of her, because more than my mother. I mean, because she gave me the path to do this. Mother's good, mothers are
Yes.
your child, but a mother-in-law doing this, and she had just lost a child. In
Yes.
spite of that, she decided that I should get a life. So I think I've been very blessed.
Yes.
That blessing, I don't think I should let go.
No, you shouldn't, because you should honor her blessing.
Yes.
What you're
So
doing
that's
is
it.
honoring her
If
blessing.
across the world, I want to empower women, because I think her emotional sacrifice that she made, I think, needs a much bigger validation than just me being empowered. So,
Absolutely. Wow, that's wonderful. So, this driving service today has evolved. That's no longer happening with Revati, but it's evolved into Hey Didi,
yeah.
where Revati empowers women to start driving scooter, four wheelers, and two wheelers, and they are a delivery service today. Am I right?
First time ever that women are delivering goods. So, all your e-com companies, you sit at home and order, and our girls are delivering across Bombay, of course, Mumbai, of course, but also across many, many more cities. And we are people in. I mean, anybody who sees them just feels so delighted. They take my
Yes.
number, they write to me, they send me mails, they put it on social media. They do so many things. We're
Yes, and
really
I
happy.
want all the links. I mean, like in Bangalore, who does it, or Delhi, wherever you have, because
Yeah.
we all have to encourage you and encourage your girls. And is that a call coming in? Do you have to take it?
Yeah.
Would you
Can
like
I?
to take it? Of course, I'm going to put us on pause. So, Revati, I'm going to take links from you so that people can get in touch with you, with everybody. And since this is Cope with Hope, I'd like to ask you what hope means for you.
You know, um, stark reality of life. You sleep every night hoping that you get up in the morning.
Yeah, it's true. And then you give
It's
thanks that I've got up.
Yeah, that I got up. You may never get up, and
True.
it's not going to tell you that I'm not going to wake you up. There's somebody up there waking you up.
Yeah.
And however bad it is, I think there are miracles that have happened in my life. And I can never stop being grateful to the ecosystem, the Almighty, my friends, my family, my people who work with me. Every person gives me hope. And I just think that if I have been able to survive this tornado of problems, um, it's only because I see a photographic image of everything being fine all the time. It's just there in front of me. And whenever I feel that um, I need to see a photographic image of everything that is happening, that's there in my brain. That's again a kink. But that's what I see. And when I see that, I think it's all, I feel life is going to be fine. And it's not that there are no problems now. It's not that problems get over. I don't think in anybody's life problems get over. Problems keep coming, in different forms. Some people have financial problems, some people have emotional issues, some people have family issues, some people have business issues. There are so many things that happen.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a combination of all.
Yes.
So I think God has given you a life, and I think you better respect it. So
Wow.
for me, hope is tomorrow is a better day, and let's live with it. So I'll give you a small example of hope.
Yes.
When my husband got his cardiac arrest and we rushed him to Shushrusha Hospital that time, when he was critical in 2004, he suddenly got a cardiac arrest and we rushed him to a hospital. So when we went there, he was talking to me, and then he was taken to the ICU, and my middle son and me were standing there, and that computer on top, it just went flat. It had gone. I mean, he was not there. My son, there were some 10 people surrounding my husband's bed trying to revive him. And my son pushed a couple of nurses and he said, I have to talk to daddy. He spoke to my husband in the ears loudly and he said, you can't leave. And he said, Tobu, that's my little one. And he said, Tobu's only 9 years old. All of us need you, but Tobu's only 9. You have to come back. And he held my hand and he said, come outside, let's sit down there. Daddy's coming back. And I went and sat there. He got me a cup of coffee. He was very small. He was just about, I think, 17. And he got me a cup of coffee and he said, he's coming back. That's our hope. And about half an hour later, the doctor came there and he said he's back.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have seen a life in that situation we lived on hope.
Yeah.
And it happened. Of course, we got him in a form which was in a comatose state. But the point is, he came back. The next day, that entire hospital was buzzing with this news, which they spoke in Marathi. And they said that, Meleल्या माणसाला परत आणलं, meaning we got a
Yes.
dead man back.
Yes.
What can this be other than hope? And every minute, every day of that 2.5 years that my husband was in a coma, we lived on hope that he's going to get better.
Yes.
It's the only thing that kept us going.
Yes.
And we survived. I mean, maybe that was my husband's way of telling us that, look, I've not been talking for 2.5 years because I'm in a coma. Learn to live without me. A lot of times people relate success to money. But success is not about financial success all the time. It is a lot about your own mind success. It's a
Yeah.
lot about your own liberation of your own mind, liberation of your own thoughts, liberation of how you handle yourself. What if I had come out bitter from jail?
Yes.
What if I had come out hating people? What if I had wanted to commit suicide? What if all
Exactly.
that had happened?
And you could have had lots of money and still felt like this. You could today
Yeah,
be earning a lot, which I know you are,
yeah,
but be a bitter,
yeah.
broken,
I can't.
small
I
hearted
can't.
person.
I cannot harm a person. I
I
just
know.
can't.
Yeah.
I'm useless. Confess something also that Nandini, you were like a star to us when we were in college, and we were in so much awe of you. You used to come to our college very often because you had friends in our college that was Xavier's.
Yes.
I remember to say, "Oh, that's Nandini. God, she's so pretty, so gorgeous."
How
And you
sweet.
are the same now. In fact, even more beautiful and even
Oh,
more gorgeous.
thank you
So
so much.
I think I'm so privileged to be interviewed by you and chat with you. I'm really privileged. So
Thank you.
thank you.
I feel that I'm also privileged and honored to be speaking to you. And, I
Let the COVID
thank you.
times, let the COVID times get over. We should meet.
We should
Before.
definitely meet. And I really thank you for everything that you're doing, because
Thank you.
we need more people who spread love and joy, and spread hope and give people a chance in life.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you, and see you soon, and a big hug to you.
Same here.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. So, everybody, that was Revati Roy. And John Abraham is going to soon make a film on her life. And we must all see it. It was so lovely speaking to her. And I want to specially thank you, my audience, for all the love and support that you've given me. Please like, subscribe, and share, because I need you to do that. Thank you so much.